Climb aboard the NFL Express with Charles Barr and John Chapman, your one stop for all 32 NFL teams and news from around the league.
Here we go, NFL Express. Here we got week 3 right in front of us, and actually the Jets and Browns are playing as we speak, and the Lord, his Savior name, Baker Mayfield, has entered into the game with Tyrod Taylor taking a back. So excited to have Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield squaring off. That's pretty cool, just to have those two people going against each other. I don't think that we saw that coming because we had Hugh Jackson kind of like saying, hey, I'm going to ride with Tyrod Taylor to the day, that I'm out of here, which might be soon. I think that Todd Haley's actually licking his chops. And as soon as Baker Mayfield gets in the game, what happens? He hits Njoku for like 17 yards. He hits Jarvis Landry again. Then he pops right back into the third quarter and hits Njoku for another 20 yards. So this is just a much more predictable fantasy team. It's a much more predictable in terms of the analytics. Like, you can rely on a Jarvis Landry now if Baker's in the game. You can rely on a Njoku. You can rely on a Duke Johnson. I think that with Baker at the head of this football team, it actually makes these guys fantasy relevant. John, what say you?
Man, I love it. I'm a Longhorn fan. I have been since I was as little as can be. And so, it's hard to root for somebody like Baker with OU, but it's just fun. I think the sport is better off when we get matchups like Sam Darnold versus Baker Mayfield, the number 1 versus number 3 pick.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what we want. Now, I will say this, Cleveland fans, I don't want to say they suck.
Right.
But they've been through living hell. I get it. It's hard. If you're still a fan at this point, much props. But
right.
You're booing Tyrod Taylor after the first series. You've got to be kidding me. You got to be smarter than this. Like, it's I think
it's just
pissed at that.
It's pent up aggression, and if they should be mad at anybody, and here's actually what needs to be talked about here. The defensive line for the Browns right now is just getting pushed around. They're chipping on Garrett, and they're just having their way. But this defense is just getting smoked, son. And that Jets defense is stingy. They don't really, they're kind of like underrated. I think that they're just one of those teams that are going to push some people around. You're not going to expect it. So Quincy Enunwa back on the scene, and he is just sort of like really this true hybrid between a tight end and a wide receiver. I love it every time he gets the ball. You can tell that CBs and safeties alike are afraid to make contact with him. It's been weird, though, because it's weird to have Robbie Anderson be so quiet so far.
Yeah, every quarterback has their favorites. And, whenever McCown was in last year, it was Robbie Anderson, no doubt about it. But Darnold has been beyond outspoken about Quincy Enunwa. And there was a point where before this game started, but it seems to stay on pace, Enunwa has the highest percentage of targets of any player in the entire NFL based off of their own individual quarterbacks' targets. He's number one in target share, and he looks great. His route running, his hands are just off the charts. I tweeted out before the game, people kept asking me who I should go with and who I should start. And, I tweeted out, I said, look, anytime you are debating over a player in fantasy football, you always lean towards volume. If it's close and you don't know what to do, go on the side of volume. If it's between 2 wide receivers, focus on targets. If it's between 2 running backs, what I do in my head, each target to a running back counts as 2 carries, and then carries just simple. And you add them up wherever that is. If you want to look at the past or where they are now, you're always focused on volume. I feel like people lose games because they bet on upside. And I think, the Sammy Watkins trick. That's great if you don't have anybody else. Go with a guy like Sammy Watkins, but more often than not, he's going to leave you with a 0 in your lineup, and I don't want zeros. I'd much rather have a 7. If somebody's going to get me 0 or 14, I'm taking the 7 every time.
All right, I got a surprise segment for you, John. It's kind of a twofer.
I love surprises.
I know you do. I don't know if you like this first part of the segment, but I think you'll like the second. The first part of the segment is called I Was Wrong. And you have to think about 2 things you were wrong about, and I'll start. I'll tell you 2 things that I was wrong about for fantasy.
Okay.
One was, it's not fantasy as much, this one is about football. I was wrong about the Saints defense. I was absolutely wrong. They showed to have a really good pass rush last year with Cameron Jordan. Then they add Davenport. Then they add more power to the secondary. They replaced Vaccaro, who, people, you can say if he was really good or not. I don't think he really was. I think it was a liability. And all of a sudden you see this defense and you say they're going to actually compete. They're going to stomp some fools because they were doing it last year. And then they don't. I just don't. I was wrong, about that one. And then the other person that I was wrong in fantasy, I just got to say it, was Patrick Mahomes. Man, Patrick Mahomes, I am so sorry to you. I guess I called it wrong. But here's the deal. I guess it's still early, but geez, dude, the way that this guy looks right now, I just saw somebody a little bit who was always trying to force the ball before, who, it just looked a little bit erratic. And so I thought that there was a potential that he could throw a ton of picks. And so far he's done nothing but prove me wrong. So, John, who were you wrong about?
Yeah, the number one that I got to say wrong on fantasy so far is Jimmy Garoppolo, which breaks my heart. He is just not produced fantasy-wise in back-to-back games. I believe he's like the 26th or 27th rated quarterback at this time, and that really hurt. And number 2, and I don't think I'm wrong yet on him, but Royce Freeman, who he's played well, he's looked well, but we were all expecting him to have a chance to be the bell cow back there. And, man, this cat comes out of nowhere, Phillip Lindsay, and has just run with that job. He's actually 3rd in the entire NFL in rushing as an undrafted free agent rookie. I mean, the kid's fun to watch. And they've come out and they've talked about how they're just going to go with the hot-handed approach. So it's not like it's Lindsay's job. They're basically splitting snaps. Lindsay's getting a few more. But, I really did. I thought Royce Freeman was going to be the guy. Maybe he could be still, but through 2 weeks, I've got him on my bench in a few rosters or a few leagues.
Yeah, he hurt my feelings. And they're going against the Ravens this week, so not a good look if you're a rusher for Lindsay or for Royce Freeman.
Right.
Not guys you want starting. I have to change my lineup tonight. Things you were right about. I'm going to go ahead and start with one, and we can alternate here. How about, I was right about, if we go back and listen, I make sure to go check that. I said that the Bucs in one of our previous podcasts would be the surprise of the NFL. I said with the front 7, I thought that they would be dominant, and with the wide receiver tools, and I thought at the time their rookie running back was going to have more of an impact. I thought that they could do some things. So I was right about that one. What were something you were right about that maybe people would have questioned?
Yeah, 2 things that I felt right about. I loved Kirk Cousins, and I just talked about how, the weapons that he's had. He's always been a top 5 quarterback, but you add in these weapons, and then who knows? He's just totally gone off. He has been incredible. And then Melvin Gordon, if we were redrafting today, Melvin Gordon, I think, would go 2 or 3. I think it'd go Todd Gurley, Alvin Kamara, Melvin Gordon. I would take Melvin Gordon over Kamara personally because his value is going to hold up much better than Kamara's is whenever Ingram comes back. But Melvin Gordon has just been awesome. And Chris Thompson, I'll throw in an extra one, super high on Chris Thompson the whole time. And people kept saying, he might not be ready. In this offense, the scheme that is drawn up, it is absolutely perfect for somebody like Chris Thompson.
I was right about Rashad Penny being trash. And here's the deal. And I it's like, you don't mean to like insult the fanboys, but you just kind of like they were looking at something, that wasn't there. It was a mirage. It was the next big thing. And I think that personally, so far through these games, he's looked in preseason as well. He's looked like trash. He dropped a few passes last night. He was liable in pass protection again. He doesn't look like the value that they spent on him. What round would you say you would take Rashad Penny now that you kind of have seen that product? Would you take him at 26?
If we're just talking NFL draft, hell no.
Yeah.
We saw him get his quarterback destroyed week 1. Week 2, he comes out. He plays okay, but not great. I don't believe in taking a super high running back unless they're a complete package. And I mean a guy that can play on all 3 downs and is a difference maker. And I don't think that he is that. He can catch, but he can't block. I had a 4th-round grade on him. I don't mind taking him in that 3rd-round area, but there's no value there. So, I'm going to stay with it. Yeah, there's so many guys. Look at just the backs that have been taken that are being successful. Guys like Phillip Lindsay that are undrafted free agents. Guys like Rock Thomas up in Minnesota, undrafted free agent. Like Boone, again, back to Minnesota. Like there's value to be had late at the running back position. And when you have one of the worst offensive lines and one of the worst secondaries in the NFL, there's more premium positions to spend your draft capital on. And I don't understand. They think they're smarter than everybody else, but then they start off 0-2, and Russell Wilson took like 8 sacks in 1 half. And it's for a reason. It's for a reason.
For sure. I have one last segment before we get into games called Yuck. And that's when you don't have a lot of good options, all right? You're going up to the prom, and there's a bunch of girls dancing, and they're all just like 3s and 4s, okay?
Hey, I believe in multiplication. That's all I'm saying.
That could equal 12 in John's book, okay? And he's all in. Yeah, they're not. So here's your pool. You got to pick one player. Ready? Royce Freeman going against Baltimore. Rashad Penny going against Dallas. Alfred Morris going against KC. Or Josh Gordon going against Detroit.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, absolutely. You got to eliminate him. You don't know how much, if at all, he's going to play. So you remove him from this situation completely. Now, I don't want to go against Dallas because here's the thing. I don't like playing fantasy players against Dallas, and I do this in my DFS lineups because they hold the ball, they slow down the game, and it's boring, and it's always low scoring. So I don't like teams that are playing against Dallas typically. I usually try to stay away because the volume's not going to be there. I want my players going against pass-happy teams because that increases just the number of snaps you have. So that's going to kind of boil it down. I'm going to be really honest with you. I think I'm going to go Freeman here because I think he's going to be the goal line back with upside, and they said we're going with the hot-handed approach. You can run against Baltimore's defense. Their defense is legit, but C.J. Mosley, he's probably going to play, but he's pretty banged up, and he is their run stuffer. So I think I'd go Freeman here. I have him on my bench in a lot of leagues, but if I was in a tough spot, I wouldn't have a hard time starting him.
Gotcha. Yuck. All right, moving on. We're going to break down some of the games, and we already mentioned the Saints. So we got the Saints at Atlanta, and it's funny to see Atlanta stay atop of the rankings. It's weird. I don't know if you saw some of these power rankings, and Atlanta stayed at within the top 10. It's weird for me. Because,
well, I mean, they barely lost to Philadelphia Eagles, and then they beat Cam.
Yeah. I feel like Cam beat himself. That was an injured team. That was one of the worst. I mean, that defense, I was like legitimately able to see some folks open. Cam, I think, is just playing awful. That's just how I feel about it. I feel like I'm watching a guy who he's waiting for it to come to him. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of drive.
And I'll say opposite of that, man. I dog on Matt Ryan all the time. He balled out.
Who, Matt Ryan did?
Right, yeah, exactly. Matt Ryan, he laid it out, and he played great.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it, but again, that defense is super suspect, so it just kind of takes him out of that top 10 conversation. And Sarkisian's just drinking at the wheel. So who do you like at the Saints-Falcons matchup?
Man, it's a divisional game. I almost always lean towards the home team. I'm going to go Falcons here, but I think this is a coin flip. I'm going Falcons just because they're at home. And like you said, that Saints defense has just been lit up by everybody. So I'm going Falcons.
Agree. So next up is, I think, one of the more interesting matchups of the week. It would be a game I would really want to watch if my Eagles were not at the same time. Bengals at Carolina. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you my prediction. I like the Bengals to go in there and take Cam down. I like the Bengals defense. With Joe Mixon out, they've kind of had to rely on Andy loosening up and getting the ball down the field. And as A.J. Green showed you last week, he can still do that thing. So I'm really liking the Bengals against Carolina at their house.
I'm staying with you. And I also love the fact that they get an additional 4 days off to prepare for this game before they travel out. I think the NFL coaching matters, and that defense for the Bengals is looking great. So, yeah, I'm going Bengals too. The road team gets a win.
Well, and let's go ahead and add another. You were right. You were talking about the Bengals really early in terms of a defense, in particular their secondary.
Dude,
you really
William
liked,
Jackson III, the least known all-pro player in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, Jalen Ramsey, number one, you can have him. I'm telling you, William Jackson is top 3 at worst, and he might be number 1 overall at corner. That guy is special.
All right. You heard it here first.
And most people know he was a number 1 draft pick out of Houston 2 years ago, but I think he blew his Achilles or ACL something. He had an injury during training camp and missed his entire rookie season. Everybody forgot about him, and that kid is just playing lights out.
So we've got – I don't think it's the flashiest game. It's borderline upsetting how Deshaun Watson has played this year. But we've got the Giants at the Texans. Go ahead. I want to hear you break it down first. Who's your prediction?
Well, they're both 0-2. The Giants have only scored 2 touchdowns this entire year so far. Man, and then you got Houston at home. This is really – these guys are fighting for – if you go 0-3 with the schedule that both these teams have had, they both had pretty easy schedules. I don't want to say you're out, but I think you're out. And I don't think the Giants can win. I just don't see it. I'm going Texans here. Eli Manning, I think, is done. I really do.
Wow.
It's weird to say that. I feel bad about that.
And they got Teddy B, right? Second string or no?
He's with the Saints.
Kyle
Lauletta. It'd be Lauletta out there, which
yikes.
I don't think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to stay with Eli. They're going to ride Eli maybe once they get 0-5, 0-6, which I don't think they will. They will win a game eventually, but I don't like this game. It's one of those bad matchup games. So if you look at the Texans' defense, it has struggled greatly. But where are they strong at? They are strong on the left side of their defensive line, getting pressure. J.J. Watt, merciless. Clowney's probably not going to play. He's always injured, but it doesn't matter. Those guys are going up against Eric Flowers, the very worst offensive tackle in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be bad. I just do not see the Giants outside of just a lot of big plays making something happen.
And DeMarcus Lawrence and others made that offense one-dimensional.
Yep.
It changed the play calling. It changed the scheme. I feel like that team, the Giants, they scheme to their weakness. They try to patch it up. But that is one of the most struggling offensive lines, especially when you don't have a Nate Solder who's panning out. With the money you paid him, yikes.
Yeah, and they're not respecting Eli. They're playing 7 or 8 in the box no matter what. And what they're doing is they're just basically putting an additional man on top of Saquon Barkley, who they're peppering like crazy. And, they're favoring to Odell's side, but that's it. There's nobody deep. He doesn't have the arm anymore. He might have the arm, but we're not seeing it. So, I don't know, man. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, Eli, it looks bad, man.
Okay, so are we ever going to see Deshaun Watson again play like he played last year?
Yes.
Is that going to happen?
Yeah, it's going to happen.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Maybe not that same numbers, but again, he's playing behind a terrible offensive line, and finally he's going up against the worst defensive line he has seen all year. And so I think it's going to get there. Now, the one thing that people aren't saying about the Texans, Lamar Miller is averaging almost 5 yards a carry. And if the Texans could just stay in a game without falling behind early, I think that we'll be able to see a successful running attack because everybody is just watching the quarterback Deshaun Watson. So I'm fine with this team. I think that they are better off than the Giants. I've got Texans winning by over a field goal.
Gotcha. Next up is Titans versus the Jags. Well, I'll go ahead and start this one off. It's got my man crush. I mean,
Blake Bortles, baby.
Adoy. All right, so you've got the best defense that you're going to see for a long time. I mean, it takes a special group to look like this. I think this defense, if they weren't held back by Bortles, although he's been playing well, last year would have won the Super Bowl potentially over my Eagles. I mean, they're that talented of a group. So you've got the Titans coming in. And quick injury update. John, do you know the status between Mariota and Gabbert? Who's going to be playing?
So this is the bad thing. They are taking equal snaps in practice, just like they did last week. And, Vrabel came out and said, there's a possibility we could play 2 quarterbacks this week. And I believe in the saying, if you think you have 2 quarterbacks, it means you have none. The fighting Blaine Gabberts, I have no idea how they won last week against Houston, but they did. But this is not a Houston team that they are playing. This will be ugly. And I don't even care if it is Mariota or not. Both tackles are banged up, and you're bringing in a very injury-riddled offensive line into Jacksonville, and they're playing with so much confidence right now. If this is within double digits, I would be very impressed.
Like, nothing equals a shot to the nuts like drafting Deshaun Watson in Dynasty or Mariota right now. Those are two. Now, I would say Mariota is really the worst case right now because here's the deal. You got to recognize a bad relationship and walk away from it. And
do you? I feel like most people don't and stay with it.
The thing is like you can keep saying, she's a really good girl. She only sleeps with guys when she gets hammered. All right, and then keep coming back to her and saying, she only vomited on the dinner table at your parents' house that one time.
It was one time, man. I'm telling you.
One time. She slapped me only a few times, Mom. She's a good girl. She keeps me in check. But here's the deal: Mariota's not that girl. Okay, he's from a Chip Kelly system. You thought that the floor thing, and I think that there was some potential there, but to me, he ain't never been the guy. And so, you can keep dating her. Sure, go ahead, all you want to, and you guys can do premarital counseling before you ever get married. What the fuck? I don't care. Do what you want to do. But
run, fool, run!
Get out of the relationship. But so I'm sorry, Titans fans. That's where you're at. You got to support him. I know what it's like saying Kevin Kolb could be something. All right. But we've all been there. So not moving on. I'm just taking the Jags. They're going to eat this offense up. And Blake Bortles has actually been looking pretty decent. Keenan Cole with one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing last week. So I'm going Jags at home. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm Jags. Again, by over 10.
All day. Then we got San Francisco at the Chiefs. I'm going to let you break this one down, man. Go ahead.
The keys to this game is the first quarter. If the 49ers fall behind by more than 2 touchdowns, it's going to be over. They're not designed to play catch-up. They are designed to run the ball. They have the leading rusher in the entire NFL, Matt Breida. Who the hell thought we would be saying that 2 weeks in? Matt Breida is leading the entire NFL in rushing yards. But the idea is this. If they can run the ball effectively, which Kyle Shanahan always does, and he has the best play-action quarterback, I think, in the NFL, and Jimmy Garoppolo, his play-action is insane. If it stays close through the first half, I think the 49ers could pull an upset, but I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs by at least a field goal. They are just playing so tough right now. And what's funny, they literally have the number 1 ranked offense and the number 32nd ranked defense, as Andy Reid could have it no other way.
Yikes. Well, I'm picking the Chiefs, and I think Andy Reid picks on teams like these when they come into his house where they're kind of on their bad luck. I think he knows how to handle these situations, and I think Kyle Shanahan is a great coach, but Andy seems to thrive on this kind of consistency at home, methodical, power rush game, and now he's got a live arm. Dude, he's going to end up making Sammy Watkins look like a real good receiver.
He looked amazing last week. Good Lord, that was
impressive. He did, but again, Sammy had games like that in Buffalo. Let me see you with some consistency, all righty? Next, we got a boring game. Sorry. Raiders, Dolphins. I didn't want to spend any time on this game. Kenny Stills is going to have a good day, blah, 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 blah. Kenyon Drake's actually the running back there. So anything you want to say about this game?
Yeah.
I'll take the Dolphins.
I'm going
by the way.
Dolphins big time. You give me a West Coast team flying across to the East Coast and an early kickoff, it's not going to look good. Plus, John Gruden is the worst coach in this game, which is saying a lot. I'm not an Adam Gase fan, but Dolphins, man, they keep going.
God, can you believe they paid him all that money? Okay, this is an easy one. God, a minus 16.5.
Lock of the week. In my eliminator league. Here's the thing. I went through and looked at Buffalo's schedule. They don't play a conference opponent, I think, or a division opponent until week 11. And so in my eliminator leagues where, like, you get to pick one team to win a week and then you can't reuse them, I mean, I'm picking the Bills every week, and I know that people that are in that league with me are listening. That's okay. I'm telling you what I'm doing. I just don't believe in the Bills, so that's just kind of what it is.
Listen, the Buffalo Bills are the NFL's water bong. Every team's passing around and smoking them, all right? That's just what it is.
That was pretty good. I haven't heard that one before. Well said.
Hey, that's why you come to NFL Express. This is what we do. Okay, so I got the Vikings by a whole lot. Moving on. Colts at the Eagles. Eagles took a tough one last week, but deserved it. Deserved the loss. The Bucs earned that win. They looked like the better team. Wasn't luck. Fitzmagic is real. You can pray to him. He spoke back to me one time. So their wide receivers are, God, who are you going to cover? Have fun. Chris Godwin, who's number one for like 90% of the rest of the NFL. Undercover, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson's going to take the top off. O.J. Howard, who's come alive. Go ahead. Have fun trying to guard that offense. And that front seven is going to smother you. So, and they didn't make a lot of mistakes, and they came with some scheme, and Doug Peterson tried some things that didn't work out. So, kudos to the Bucs. But I like what has happened in the past week. Carson Wentz is back. He's ascended to the throne. And one of the coolest signings of the week, and I don't even care if you don't care, but Jordan Matthews back on the Eagles. It feels right.
Is he going to play slot, or are they going to move him outside? Because Aguilar has been so amazing in the slot. Surely you don't move him back outside, right?
No. I think what you do is you substitute him in packages.
And let me say this real quick. As we are talking about the Eagles, the Browns and Baker Mayfield just did a little, I hate saying this, Philly special for a 2-point conversion. How do you feel about this?
They did the Philly special
to Baker Mayfield for the 2-point conversion.
They took a Browns on my Philly special.
They did. They went to the left side though. I don't know if that makes it any better, but yeah, that just
it is. It's like that's like they reversed it. It's like taking the cross upside down. It's evil. So. I don't mess with it.
Heard it here first. Baker Mayfield is a Satanist. There's your header for the episode.
I don't mess with that. I won't even watch that play. If there's a replay to press on ESPN, I won't watch it. Okay? It's juju. That's bad juju. All right, so Colts at the Eagles. I'm going to take my team. But it's at home. Carson Wentz is back. I think that he's looked good in terms of like just some limited action that we've seen him in just from some practice film. But I really do think that he's going to play well for us. So Jay Ajayi, we're wondering about his health, but kind of doesn't matter with this crew. They've got backs. They activated Josh Adams this week. I think we might actually get to see him with some snaps this week. Excited for that. So any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think the worst thing that could have happened for the Colts happened last week when the Eagles lost. It's hard playing top-tier talent coming off a loss because they're pissed off and they want something to prove, and then they're going home, and then they're getting their MVP caliber quarterback back. This is going to be just an absolute bloodfest because the matchups are bad for the Colts to start with. They are weak on the offensive tackles, but great in the middle. That's not going to work well against this defensive line. I'm telling you that right now. Their lack of a running game, and they throw the ball a lot. You don't want to do that against the Philly defense because if you do, they just tee off and they all go all out. I mean, it's the way your defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz coaches. So this is bad. I would not mind putting this one number 2 or 3 as far as locks of the week. Eagles will win this game.
I hope so. Next up is going to be what I believe to be a smash mouth game. Colts at Baltimore. I'll let you break that down.
Yeah, Baltimore is legit. Don't get me wrong. But, man, there's something about teams with great defenses that travel well. And I don't know what it is. Flacco plays great against bad teams. And I don't think that this is a bad team. So I actually am picking the road team. I am taking Denver Broncos in an upset win. And we talked a little bit earlier about Freeman. Now, this is not something that I want to bank on here. I think Freeman is going to have a 2+ touchdown game. But I don't believe it enough to start him in a lot of my big money leagues. I want to wait and see here. But I think Denver wins this game. Also, Cortland Sutton, he has the exact same snap share as both Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. He is already at that level. He had a big touchdown called back on a penalty that wasn't his fault. That kid is special. There is something happening in Denver on that offensive side. It's just not ready to kind of blossom just yet. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are about to face the toughest defense that they've had. And I don't mean that it's the most well-balanced defense. I mean that pass rush is disruptive. So get ready for Von. And, Bradley, he's going to come on. I mean, you were watching him grow. So I'm with you. I think we'll look at this game, too, as Case Keenum, a marquee game for him, something to build on. Okay. Green Bay at the Redskins. There's just something wrong with this game, like the color scheme. I don't even like to look at the jerseys. We're in the same field. It hurts my eyes. Looks like I'm looking at
feel that way about
TV.
the Redskins outfits every game. I can't stand that. I can't stand it.
It's like so obvious to everybody. Like, why are we still saying Redskins? Like, just really? Like, honestly, it's just weird. Like, come on. Look, we don't want to change anything. We've changed everything in history, jackass.
And mind you, Charles and I went to an undergrad school whose mascot was called the Redskins. And guess what? They changed it. Because it was in Oklahoma City next to reservations.
Let me explain something. They changed their name to the Crimson Storm.
It's lightning.
And it's red, so it's associated with the period.
I like that there's
time.
probably like 4 people like, man, what the hell college is that? And are like Google searching Crimson Storm.
Yeah, Crimson Storm, man. We got stories, bro. All right. So I'm taking Aaron Rodgers because the guy can just dice the Vikings up on a broken leg. Not going to go against him. Who do you got?
Aaron Rodgers has looked outstanding, and he has played 2 of the top 3 defenses in back-to-back weeks with a messed-up knee. And the Chicago Bears won, and against the Minnesota Vikings should have won, got a tie. Now you get the Redskins with one of the worst secondaries in the entire NFL. This is not going to be pretty. Aaron Rodgers, they're coming pissed off because they got a tie. This is going to be bad. They are going to shred the Washington Redskins.
All right, next up we got 2 fast fighters. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out. Not sure if it's going to be high scoring, but boy, there's going to be action. You got the LA Chargers versus the LA Rams. It's a battle in LA. Who you got, John?
Man, this is a fun game. I'm going with the upset, man. I get it. The Rams are favored. They got 7 points is what they are favored. I'm going Chargers. I believe in Phillip Rivers. I believe the Chargers are sick and tired of everybody talking about L.A. Rams this, L.A. Rams that. I think they come in there, and I think they stun the league a little bit. I'm going Chargers.
Dang it. I don't want to follow you in all of your upsets, but I'm leaning that way too, but just because.
I like how you kind of limped in there with, like, shoulders slumped forward. I can't even see you, but that's just a strong sad.
Strong sad. And a lot of people don't get that reference. And if you do, you're cool with me. So I'll take the Rams just because he took the Chargers. But I agree. I think the Chargers going to be it. Actually, here's my upset of the week. I like the Cardinals over Chicago.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to tell you why.
Do you want to put money on it?
I'm going to tell you why. Here's the problem, friends. And I got some sad news for some of my Bears friends. I'm not liking the way that Trubisky's looking these days. He's got accuracy issues, and it's looking to be some confidence issues. He's got some feedback from the crowd. Yes, they won that game, but when things weren't going right, they were coming after him. This Cardinals defense, they've been kind of pushed on. I like them to give the Bears a problem this week. And I'm going to tell you why I like the Cardinals this week. I like David Johnson I get it, dude. They're one of the best defenses. Khalil Mack, the whole deal. I think David Johnson, he stuns the league this week against one of the top defenses in the league.
Even though they didn't throw him one target in the first half last week?
They just said that they're going to be playing him in the slot this
Even
week.
though they've only have 6 combined points through 2 games?
I don't know what you're doing right now, but it reminds me of a movie when it's like...
What if I told you?
Yeah.
The Cardinals did not cross the 50-yard line in the first 3 quarters.
He's not guilty, even though he's got blood on his hands, even though he's holding the murder weapon. Yes, John. All that shit.
All right, man. You go ahead, brother. I'll take dumbface Mitchell Trubisky for the win here just because of the defense. I do not believe in the Cardinals. I don't believe in the Cardinals at all. I do believe in David Johnson, but that coaching staff is ridiculous. What the hell are they doing? They're outthinking themselves. And they came out this week and said, we're going to simplify our playbook. What? It was already simple. It was awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is what it is. I'm going Chicago Bears big time. Top 3 defense in the NFL. And I think, I'll say this too. I think the Bears are actually closer to that Jacksonville, Minnesota kind of tiered defense than they are the people behind them. And I think there are 3 elite defenses in this league, and I put them up there. I'd go Minnesota 1, Jacksonville 2, Chicago 3.
There's a guy named Kyle Fuller who really doesn't really enthuse me, so I can't go there with you on that one. But maybe. And they're close. Next up, a game that we have seen. I feel like this has been a matchup that's kind of been like every year right now. It's been Dallas versus Seattle. Although they're supposed to alternate those schedules, I feel like must be 3 or 4 years in a row.
Well, the way that they do the scheduling is where you finish in your division. So, like, you'll play against kind of the top tier if you finish first, or the bottom tier if you finish last, so on and so forth. And if you look at it, man, the Cowboys were kind of having their run when the Seahawks were having their run, and then they both fell off last year as well. So that's why they matched up several years in a row.
Yeah. So in this game, I like Dallas. I think I like their defense. I know it's at Seattle. I like Zeke behind that line. I think you're going to disagree with me here, but I'm feeling Dallas this week against Seattle. Who you got?
I'm with you completely. I'm going Cowboys, man, big time, and I don't even think it's close. The Dallas defense is, man, Rod Marinelli deserves awards. This guy has done so much with so little consistently. I think that the Cowboys win this one. I am not a fan of the Seattle Seahawks, and I would not pick them and probably against 25 teams in the NFL right now. So I'm going Cowboys.
Although I love Russell Wilson. Love him.
I don't love him. I actually can't stand him, but he is very good at football.
Yeah. Oh, this next one is just like, what's going to happen? It's like a 300-pound bodybuilder versus just a tiny little guy. I'm not really sure if this is just going to be a throttling. We're going to want to turn it off. But the Patriots versus the Lions, Matt Patricia gets to go up against the Sith Lord, and he's going to lose. So I got the Patriots big over the Lions. I want to say by like 21 points. What do you think?
I don't know. The one thing I can say about Matt Ryan is this. He has the most 3-point games since he's entered the league, and it's not close. He fights.
You mean Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, who'd I say?
Matt Ryan.
Oh, my bad. I should have said Matthew McConaughey
it's okay.
there.
All right.
Sorry about that, Lions fans. Your quarterback plays close games. He just doesn't win them. I think this will be the highest scoring game of the week. I could see 42-39, something like that. I don't even know how those numbers fit together. But it's going to be insane. I could see the Patriots jump out kind of 21-3, and then it's just, Stafford does what Stafford does and just starts slinging the rock. So start every single person, and I'm telling you this right now. This is huge. Sony Michel, breakout game, NFL, welcome the new elite running back this week, Sony Michel. He is going to ball out. I have him in a few of my tournament lineups, DFS style. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Patriots jump out early, then they rely on the run. Sony Michel, amazing game. Patriots get the win.
Gotcha. Next up is going to be the highest scoring game of the week. It's going to be
I love how you just undercut it with such confidence, man. It's beautiful. That was awesome.
I just trumped that thing. So for sure, 100%, the biggest, hugest game of the week, Steelers versus Bucks. I got them just going ham. I think the front seven is going to do damage. But the one part that is kind of weak to the Bucks is their secondary. And, Big Ben, he likes to throw a few picks in the first quarter, and then he likes to just transform. It's almost like, the fat guy running the first 2 laps of the mile, and then he kind of gets his wind. That's kind of him. Like, I picture Ben Roethlisberger and Janikowski just chugging beers after work together, wherever they are. FaceTime.
I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see Stormy Daniels' new book. But Ben Roethlisberger makes an appearance. Have you seen this?
I saw your tweet, and it made me happy.
I don't think that I have brought anything really new or original to the fantasy or football world, except for, this is probably my pride possession, the Ray Lewis Award, which I give out to basically poor human beings, piece of crap humans that do bad things to hurt other people, or just piece of shits in general. And Ben Roethlisberger makes a surprise appearance on the list. He is now a 3-time Ray Lewis Award winner. If you have the possibility, or I guess, I don't know, inverse talent to offend and scare sexually a porn star like Stormy Daniels whenever it's Donald Trump, Ben Roethlisberger, and Stormy Daniels, and you are the creepy one, that is scary.
Yeah, I mean, and a really crazy hidden talent. So here's the thing. I like the Bucks in this one. I like them by, I would say, 10-14. Fitzmagic is real, and I think that he's going to make it very difficult on this organization to bring back the crab thief. And so I like James Conner to probably be under 100 yards against in terms of running, but all-purpose. He'll get his.
Yeah, I think he will as well. I'm picking the Bucks as well here. I'm staying. I have Fitzmagic as the MVP of the league, and I don't even think it's close. I have him over Pat Mahomes for that award right now. I know it's early, but it's what it is. And the defense between these two is not even close. That front seven, as you said, for Tampa Bay is legit. They got scary goods very fast. And the Steelers' defense is almost non-existent. They are getting torched by everybody they play. So I'm going Tampa Bay here as well.
Well, looks like we agreed on a lot this week, which that's fine. That's good. But anyways, this has been NFL Express. Choo-choo. And this is Week 3 edition. We out.